Hey, everybody, we're back. We are just pushing them out the last part of September. I am Sarah, and welcome back to our second episode for September.
And I'm Tara.
And I'm Amy.
Tara, do you want to tell us about, before we get into our guest, and Amy can tell us why she nominated her, tell us about how anybody out there is watching tonight?
And so thank you for joining us with Thriving Females. We love when our viewers get to be a part of the show and help develop everything that we get to talk to with our guests. So if you have any questions and you're joining us on Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube, please make sure you type out a question. We'll put it up for our guest. It's what makes it really interactive. And then we'll be sure to post the whole recording for you later so you get to see it and come back to it and maybe hear a little bit of some of our guest speakers' magic.
Yay.
Excellent. All right. Well, I will take it and move things forward, gang. So thanks for everyone being here today. And bottom line, our guest tonight is Jennifer Fair. And it's kind of crazy. She and I have known each other for many, many, many years. We both grew up in Centerville or Dayton, Ohio. And we were in high school together. Our moms know each other. We were in chorus together, plays, musicals, you name it. We also did community theater as well, Kettering Theater Under the Stars, Muse Machine, which was a downtown platform for nonprofit, really bringing kids together in so many different communities to really serve the market in terms of musicals and all kinds of exciting things. Jennifer's path is really outstanding, and we're so excited to hear more around her operatic path and her national platform, and not only that, but how she is interfacing with kids today and really getting that clear picture of how critical music is to really all ages. So Jennifer, just thank you for being a part of this, and we're anxious to hear more around your story and share it with our viewers. So I'm going to hand it off to you.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, all of you guys. And I enjoy hearing my story. I enjoy telling my story, but it's still being written, like all of us. So I hope, I always tell my kids before they do something, because I'm teaching now, but I always tell them it's not hard, it's just new. And so I'm not used to doing this, so I'm going to tell myself it's not hard, it's just new.
There you go, right? Absolutely. Yeah. So tell us a little bit more around kind of how you got into the musical path and really how you took it to an entirely different level, traveling internationally and many different countries and what have you. So, yeah.
Okay, so I did the path where I went to college and studied music education with a primary focus in vocal music education. I wanted to be a lawyer, but all of a sudden I got into school and I was always hanging out with the theater kids and I was always in the music. And I came home and I said, I want to do music instead. And my dad was like, are you sure you don't want to be a lawyer? Because that would be a lot better. And he said, but you know what? He said, if you decide to do music, he said, please do me a favor and get your teaching degree just as a backup. And so I talked to my professor and he said, you know what? People have this hang up that if you major in education, you can't perform. And he said, it's not that way at all. He said, you're just going to have a degree that allows you to teach if you want. So I said, okay, fine. And I stayed very active in the theater program. And then after college, I moved to New York City. And then when I was in New York, I started doing any job basically that I would get hired, as far as in music. And I did a few tours. I left town, came back, got my equity card, and then went on tour again. And then I started doing ships right after, well, it was the December after 9/11. So I was there in 2001. So that was a big wake-up call, living in Midtown. And all of a sudden things started shutting down. And I had done this audition before that, maybe I think it was in August of 2001. Didn't hear anything. This is very normal. You audition, you don't hear anything, and you think, oh, well, they're not going to hire me. I get a call in November, and they said, could you be on a ship in New Zealand in 2 weeks? And do you want to travel around the world for a world cruise for 6 months? And I was like, yeah, let's do that. Let's do
it. Very long on that.
No, like not at all. Like it was, yeah, it was time too. And I just needed a break from being there. And I was ready to explore the world. Also, after studying classical music, I had this really insane desire to go to Europe, but I had no money because I was just out of college paying my loan back, basically. So to travel and to get this opportunity to get on the ship, not only could I make money, I could save money, and I could go to Europe. It was like everything I needed to do in this one job. So I did that. And then while I went to Florida, I worked with a cast and I learned their shows. And then I got on the ships and we went all over the world. I mean, we went to New Zealand, Australia, Europe, and then I think all the way, and then back to Miami, and then back,
Like, are
so
these
it was
cruise ships that you're talking about?
These are cruise ships. Yeah.
Okay.
So this was I think that's a Norwegian ship, and that's in Europe. That was just a few years ago. But so anyway, after that, while I was on board, I realized, okay, they have this thing called a guest entertainer. And this is somebody who puts their own show together, and then they just come and go. They don't have to stay on board for 6 months. Oh. They can come for a week and then go home, and then come back for a week and then go home, which is pretty cool. Like, it allows you to almost have a normal life, really, and still be a musician and to make a good living and all this. So I thought, man, that's what I want to do. But it takes a lot of work getting that together and picking out a show of songs that everybody will like. And to that point, I just was so sold on opera, and I thought, why does not everybody love opera like I love opera? And there's a way to marry those things, with, Les Miserables or Phantom of the Opera, and then intersperse it with Puccini and Mozart and all these things. So I found the formula, figured it out, and then you have to learn how to talk in front of people and present and be, likable, and all these things are not learn really. I feel like you kind of are, you aren't. But sometimes it's just a matter of doing it for a while and getting comfortable with we call it the patter in between the songs. So it's sort of like a classical cabaret in a way, because you're communicating with the audience in between the songs and telling them about the music, telling them about yourself, few jokes here and there, and 45 minutes later you're hopefully standing before people that are standing there clapping, and that's what you hope for. And then off to the next one.
Oh, what's it like? Oh, I'm so sorry, we had a question come through. What's it like living on a ship that long?
There you go.
Okay, so that's a really good question. For the entertainers, it was not so bad. It's really not bad for anyone, except for you miss people at home. And I was, my very first ship, I was living with somebody else in a cabin. So I was 28 years old, and my roommate was 18, and she was a great girl. Like, I lucked out completely. And I thought to myself so many times, this could have gone really wrong, but it didn't at all. And after that, though, I always had my own room, and usually it was a guest cabin when I started doing my own show. So they put you in a guest cabin. But if you stay for 6 months, you're living with in the crew quarters, and it's fun, but it's just different,
It's funny. Tara and I literally just got back from a cruise on Monday morning.
Oh, okay.
Were you on literally ground zero? Because that's what we were told. That's what the crew. But you said no. The entertainers get different spots. Now, do the entertainers get separate spots than the crew?
It depends on the ship. Yeah.
Okay.
So I mean, the singers and dancers typically have their little area, and then restaurant, because of the hours they work. You don't want people from casino mixing with the people that work front desk, because of, nobody would sleep.
So you had time to get off the ship and actually check out countries where the crews don't usually. Is that right?
Yes, we did because we worked at night.
Yeah.
So, and even, even the restaurant crew, I mean, there's always a skeleton crew on board to kind of prep things for the night, but even everybody gets off, you just have, sometimes you might only have 2 hours, but you make the most of it for those 2 hours and do what you can. But we typically would not have to be back till rehearsal, which is like 5 o'clock.
And you never got seasick?
Only once.
I did, because that's why I was like, and you're up there singing, and I would be like,
Well, and here's the thing, and I learned this very quickly, was that if it was Rocky and the dancers in the show couldn't dance, they would call the singer a show, because they were like, well, you don't need, you're fine because you don't have to dance. So you really had to always be prepared. The minute the bad weather came, I sat by the phone because I knew it was going to rain. And I was like, but we wear high heels. No, but
So Jennifer, what's your favorite musical and or opera that you've performed? I have 2 of my favorites, but what's your favorite?
My favorite that I have performed probably is Così fan tutte. It's a Mozart opera, but my favorite all-time opera is La Traviata, and that's a Verdi opera.
it just sounds fancy when you say it.
Yeah. I was thinking like Phantom of the Opera or Madame Butterfly, but which I love.
Those are
love,
good
love.
too.
But I was like, oh, what are yours? And what is your favorite country that you've been to?
I'd say probably Italy or Greece. I mean, Greece, probably Greece even more so. I mean, Italy is one of those things that, I mean, it's easy, and it's very tourist friendly. I feel like Greece, Europe, anywhere in Europe. I mean, I just absolutely love it. I love the language. I love the musicality of the languages, and it's just in the culture and the food and the music, and that you can literally get on a ship and wake up and hear a different language every day, because they all speak a different language. It's so close together. Unlike here, you have to, I mean, sometimes it sounds like another language, but it's not,
Well, that's true, especially here.
Yeah, but so that was kind of fascinating. I don't know. And then Australia, I mean, it's beautiful too. New Zealand, both of those.
Did you get to perform in Australia's Opera House?
I did not. No, I only got to visit. I was there for the day, and I went to see, I think they were doing like Brahms Requiem, and I'm like, I'm going. Yeah.
So what would you say, as our viewers are listening to you and your career and your path, what would you say has been kind of a big challenge, or perhaps maybe a hurdle getting through to get you where you've gone in terms of the international platform, across the board, cruise ships, what have you? Any tips or tricks or things that you would share with somebody who would like to really consider that path?
I think it's like with any job, it's know your value, show what you do, not what you don't do. I think there's this constant need to do things that you think everybody's going to like. And you do have to have a certain amount of that, but you also have to stay true to yourself and show your best traits. And so do something that shows you off. Like that's my biggest piece. Like I remember I used to do like a whole standard show, Cole Porter and Gershwin and all that. And I loved it. And I loved doing it. And it went over well and all this. But then a friend of mine said, you have all the soprano stuff where you go up high and you do all this. He said, that's different. That's unique. That's what you need to sell along with that. But he said, don't just do things that you think people are going to like. Because there has to be those moments where people go, oh, like, that's something different. We don't hear that every day, or whatever, something that sticks out.
So could you take us through, we've got some pictures, and maybe you could share with us kind of like where you've been, what you've been doing throughout them.
Sure. This one is actually here in Ohio with an orchestra called Miami Valley Symphony Orchestra, and I was singing at a benefit for them up in Springfield, Ohio, at the Masonic Home. It's basically they just put on a huge show for this senior community center, so that was something I did just a couple of years ago. And this is a whole opera show. I did a whole opera show. I usually do in the afternoon on the ships. And so I was able to get all these nice backdrops and stuff. And you can do anything on a ship. They have every kind of technological thing you want to do. I went through this period with boas, and I used to have people like giving me boas. They'd be like, "Hey, we're finishing up this show. We're going to throw these out. Do you have a dress?" I'm like, "I'll make it work."
Yeah. We'll figure it out, right?
Yeah. I think I had that boa, and then I bought the dress. Like, that's what happened.
Bling and a boa.
Jennifer, when you are singing every day on these cruise ships, do you have to like take care of, because the opera is like so much different than regular singing? Do you have to take care of your throat and like, do you not speak for the whole day?
It's funny. I used to hear people talk about that, and I was like, whatever. But it wasn't so much. It was the traveling to get there, and the drying out from flying, and and not getting sleep. Like, if you don't sleep, that's the biggest thing that affects any voice, in my opinion, and just staying hydrated. So but you have to know your body, you have to know your voice, and if it's starting to get a little croaky, better hush up.
How did you decide, like, one day out of all your singing talents, that you chose opera? Like, how did you say, "Oh, I love opera the best"? Like, that's a hard one to me, I think.
Well,
I'm not even a good singer,
I think it's because it was different, and nobody else in my family, like everybody in my family was kind of musical, but nobody had done anything operatic. So I was like, can I claim that one? I was the youngest, so I was like, can I just have one thing?
I think I learned a new word tonight, operatic, just so anybody else there.
Yeah. Use it in a sentence for the next week.
I'm going to be like, my operatic voice.
Yes, absolutely. And that's at the Masonic Temple downtown here in Dayton. And that was at a Christmas concert we did a couple of years ago.
So Jennifer, do opera singers, is it like a goal? Like, is it like a good thing when you've made them cry in the audience? Because you always see them cry.
Good question.
Yeah, that's a great question, because it alarmed me a bit when I first started doing this, and I realized, well, no,
are they all in tears, right? Yeah.
Oh, yes, and it's just that it's certain songs, and I wasn't like, oh, it's me. It's like there's certain melodies that just evoke this sort of melancholy or nostalgia with people. I mean, I had so many people be like, "Oh, my grandmother used to sing that when I was younger," or things like that. And now, or they sang this at my grandmother's funeral, or things like that too. Like, just they touch your heartstrings. So.
How about you give us a few bars or lines? We want to hear you, Jennifer.
I'm so glad you said it that way, because I was like, I wanted to be like, "Can you sing for us?" Like,
athletic again. So if anybody,
super pumped to hear you.
I'm gonna stand up here. Whoops.
Okay.
I'm feeling it.
That's great.
Yes.
All right, there we go.
Thank you.
Is that what's important when opera is, that you're always standing?
Yeah, usually it's funny, if I do pop songs, I can sit, but I feel funny sitting and singing anything.
Pop songs, like a pop opera.
Yeah. Maybe I can get that going.
Pop operatic.
Pop operatic. It's poperatic.
It's poperatic.
Oh my God. We developed a new word here on Thriving Females tonight.
We are going to copyright that word.
Right. We are getting our grammar together, ladies.
Okay, so this is just a few bars from an aria called O mio babbino caro. It takes place in Florence, and it's about a young girl who's begging her father to accept the man that she loves, even though he doesn't like that man. So she's really asking him to show some pity on him.
I already love the storyline, right?
Yeah. Oh mio babbino caro, mi piace
trivia too, so I'm shocked anyways.
Marvelous.
You know what, Jennifer, you just said that, like, you had to learn different languages on top of it, correct?
Yeah. Yes. So when you study classical music, you at least have to have diction in Spanish, German, French, Italian. And then usually you're curious enough to get into Russian. It just happens because there's so many great Russian songs. So you're like, bring that one on.
Can you only sing in Russian or, Spanish and all those, or can you actually speak fluently in that?
I don't know. I wish I did, but I only speak, probably the best language is Spanish, but that's about it. But then so many things spawn off that. So it's very helpful. If you speak Spanish, even in Italy, usually you can kind of get by.
So Jenny, what are you doing now? Are you still full on opera singing or?
So I'm still doing some performing with orchestras. I did something with a group last weekend in New Jersey with the Jersey Shore Pops Orchestra. And we did a whole tribute to Andrew Lloyd Webber. So we did Phantom and Evita, Cats, Love Changes Everything, all this stuff. So that was super fun. And then I'll be singing with a couple of orchestras here in town coming up. But full time, I am teaching little bitty kids now. And so I started doing that right after March of 2020. And I really enjoyed it and loved it. And then when the ships reopened, they said, okay, are you ready to come back? And I said, I'm not sure. I don't know, Yeah. And I was hired on full time and I decided to stay. And I said, you know what?
Music?
Worst case scenario. I'm teaching music to K through 5. Yeah. And then I have 7th grade as well. So
what would you say is your big aha with teaching the children and the smaller children, kind of the big flash in the pan, if you will, of the connectivity with these kids?
It's very similar I honestly feel like it's very similar to what I've always done. I mean, it's a constant performance. You're always being a clown. You're always gauging on, are people engaged with what I'm doing? And it's the same as being on stage. And if you can feel you're losing them, you go to the next thing, or you find a different way of saying it. Or I guess it's probably like any job that you all, like what we all do, just keeping people engaged and wanting them, like letting them know how much I care about it, and then hoping that then they care about it.
Do you ever get really
sometimes that
excited with
happens.
these little kids that are like, you can hear really good songs, like they're good voices, and you're like, oh, we got a prodigy.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. And I'm always so surprised at who it is too sometimes. Sometimes it's some little quiet kid that's like, hey, do you mind to listen to me? And they're like, okay, sure. And I mean, it happened recently. Yeah. And I'm like, whoa, let's sign you up.
Yeah.
But I just had choir this afternoon after school with 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade. And I mean, I had 25 last year and I have 50 this year.
Oh my
gosh. They are on fire, but they oh man, when they sing together, it's fantastic. When their voices all come together separately, 3rd, 4th, and 5th, they're great, but all together, it is a really magical sound. And so I'm looking forward to sort of delving into that a little bit more and trying to get maybe some harmony here pretty soon. But they just sound gorgeous. Today we did things singing in a round, and they got so excited because they were like, that sounds so cool. And I'm like, the next thing comes after doing a round singing is bringing in harmony, and that's how you grow. And that's how you learn, one little step at a time. And to see them excited made me super excited. So,
and the fact that you're guiding these kids to really another level in terms of music is just awesome, Jennifer. Really.
Oh, yeah. Well, thank you.
Like, I'm getting choked up. It makes me think of,
he's proud of you.
We were years ago. Oh my God. I seriously am getting choked up. Sorry. But, I mean, the leaders and directors that helped us in our path. And, it's not just the song, it's really the the meaning behind it, and the overall path that it will take you far beyond just that song or that piano, that musical instrument, right? I mean, there's so much to it. And the fact that you're teaching these young kids that, Jennifer, is just like awesome. So,
and something that came up today, and I've talked to, sometimes it's not even it's that community, you build with people in music that's what chokes me up. I mean, that's what brought me to this, because you finally feel like you find your people. Right. I found my people that sang, that were in music, that were in theater, and you form these relationships that you will have the rest of your life. And it's just because the show finished over, right? And here we are.
I mean, hello, we haven't seen each other in forever. Maybe the reunion a couple years ago, but other than that, right?
Yeah.
What else do you play besides the piano?
Well, I played violin growing up, but I haven't really picked that up in a while. And then at school, I played the ukulele, and the kids love that.
Well, yeah.
When I realized they liked that, I was like, "Oh, I got to get really good at this, because this is your jam."
They really are
with the ukulele.
Yeah. Oh man, because it's little, and then they're like, "Oh, can I play it?" And I'm like, "I'll play the chords, and you can strum it." I mean, the little kids, they're hilarious. "Oh, look, I'm playing." "Yeah, you're playing."
The first step.
To have an energetic music teacher makes it fun.
Yeah. Oh, I hope so. Yeah.
And Jennifer, real quickly, is it correct that you have a CD out there? Is that right?
I do. Yep. And it's from a live show that I did. And it's got a lot of the talking in between the songs too is on there as well. So it's like the full show.
Okay.
Awesome. And it's called the Soprano Experience.
Okay. Check out your website, and we will post it as well.
Yep, I put it up there for everybody.
Excellent. Thank you. Yeah. But Jennifer, we are just so beyond thrilled to have you. And thank you for giving us a sample of your magnetic energy and your operatic. Yeah, right. I was like, that's not right, Amy. Yeah.
Jennifer, this was great. Like, I have never met an opera singer, let alone like literally got to have a personal show. So this was amazing what you've done with your talents. I think this is great. And like I said, Tara and I literally just came off of a cruise ship. So we would have appreciated you for what
I'm sorry I wasn't there. I may get back out one of these days, but I want to say too, before I go, it's so nice to meet you, Sarah and Tara, and also Amy. Wonderful to see you. You are such a top-notch girl, and my mom sent you her best. She said, "Oh, I love Amy Gillen." Amy Gillen.
And tell your mama hello. I know my mom always says, "Oh, guess what I saw today." So and that's another gift, right? I mean, when you get your tribe, the roots go deep, gang. And that's the big message here is you may not see somebody for a long time, but when you have that relationship, guess what? It seems like not a day went by, and you continue in that path of energy and synergy and true bottom line respect for those individuals that you've paired yourself with for years. So it's a gift that you're here. And again, just sharing your beautiful gifts with all of us. So just thank you for that.
And I think it's great that Amy, Jennifer thought you deserve the spotlight for, your accomplishments and your operatic voice. I just want to say it. I'm not going to ever use it again. I know it. I'm going to use it.
But you had to use it. You got it. Right. You can check it off.
Right. Yes. Yes.
Oh, well, Jennifer,
definitely 10 out of 10.
So much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, I put up the website so that everybody will be able to learn a little bit more about you. Check out the CD that's up there. But Sarah, do you want to share a little bit about tomorrow night's interview to close out the month of September?
Yes, closing out the month of September, and all the females that are watching, October is a very big month. It is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So we will probably be in pink a lot. You're going to see our pink wardrobe. But tomorrow in our local area in St. Augustine, we are going going to have Cindy, the founder of a very large race in our community. It's Pink Up the Pace. It's grown over the years. It's thousands of playbills. So it's very exciting. She is going to kick us off in this area. Why it was so important for her to start this race and her backstory dealing with breast cancer. Boy, my dog has been vocal.
Dakota's really excited for it too.
Yep. She was pumped about your opera, and now she's excited about tomorrow's show. So I am so sorry. She has been sitting here patiently, couldn't keep it together.
Well, thank you all so much, and we will see you tomorrow night. Thank you again, Jennifer.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.